What is going on, everybody? I'm back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Hope everyone is doing fantastic out there. If you have not joined me before, my name is Jake Berlin. This is the Whiskey Jedi show, podcast, however you want to describe it, audio podcast, if you will. And I'm excited to be back. I'm really looking forward to being back, getting back into the groove of doing this show. For multiple reasons why it's kind of happening now and what is allowing me to do it now. I'm going to get into that in just a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to talking everything and having fun and just enjoying what we're going to be talking about. So again, thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate it. Yes, Curtis, I am up a close, really close right now. Whores. I'm still working on like layouts and stuff for like the new phase of all of this. And I wasn't able to come up with something and I didn't want to rush it before today. And so hopefully I'll have it by next show. But I won't be as close. I promise I won't be as close. I have some plans for what I would love for the look of it to look like. So I'm currently working on that. But for now, you get my face. So and hopefully that's okay with you guys. Just put your phone, laptop, TV just far away. I won't be as big. But yeah, look, really, really cool show planned tonight. A lot of stuff to talk about that I'm super excited to discuss with you guys. I have not done a show on Whiskey Jedi since Dune Part 2. It's been 2 months. And obviously a lot has happened. And mainly two of my most anticipated movies behind Dune Part 2 have come out. We'll be discussing them. That is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. We're going to talk about both of those. We're also going to talk about the Acolyte, because the Acolyte is just a few days away. We are 2 days now, actually. 2 days from about an hour ago, if they stick with the 6 p.m. release time. So we're going to discuss the Acolyte a little bit and all the mystery that's kind of covering that show, especially for me, being that I've tried to stay away from as much as I possibly can with that show. So we're going to get into that. And then I want to discuss a little bit about things I've been watching, because I've watched a lot. I have watched a lot. I've rewatched something that I'm going to discuss. I've actually rewatched two things that I want to discuss. I'm going to recommend one at the end of the show. But I've just been watching a lot. I think I've mentioned it before. I have the luxury of working. I'm graphic design and essentially marketing for my job. And so I'm able to post stuff up and watch while I work. And so I get through a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk about a little bit. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing great out there. I see everybody in the chat. Booze, what's up, man? Gabe, thank you for joining, man. I already said hi to Curtis. John. Amaru, what's up, my man? Thank you. Caught the first half of this. Yeah, I saw your tweet earlier. I'm super jealous, if I'm being honest. I really want to get on a list where I'm able to get that type of stuff, because I would love to be a part of that and to experience stuff like that. So yeah, no, we're going to get into the Acolyte a little bit later. But yeah, so look, the show. I want to talk about it just kind of up top. The plans, what I kind of have in my head, things I would like to see from it. I want to hear from you guys as well. And I know it's not, I don't forget that most of the audience that comes from this show is, I'm privileged from a certain point of view. The majority of people who watch this show came over from a certain point of view, and I'm very lucky for that. And obviously, if you follow POV, you know that over the last 2 months, we have decided to close doors. And I was really kind of in a state of mind about a month ago, if I'm being honest, just where everything was and the ending of the show, just because I love doing it so much. And I thought we had created something pretty incredible, but all things come to an end. They do. It happens. And I thought that it was just time where we were all at in our lives. And because of that, it has allowed me to do this. I am now lucky enough to have the time to shoot this and do this and talk about the things that we didn't just talk about there, but also things that I was never able to talk about on there here. I don't think it was a surprise to anybody that the four of us we all liked a lot of different things. And, we watched a lot of the same things, but we all liked a lot of different things. And so some of the things that I wanted to talk about never came up. Some of the things that the other three wanted to talk about never really came up. And now I have the opportunity to do that here. And so I'm really looking forward to doing it. I mentioned it on social media when I kind of posted about the show. It's taken me a little bit to find, like the path that I really want to take with this. And I understand that it will more than likely never become a worldwide sensation. I get that. And would it be awesome? Of course. Like, I would love to have a massive audience with people who enjoy watching the show and give me the opportunity to do this and everything. But I understand that more than likely that won't be the case. I'm very grateful for those who come in and watch and listen and converse with me on a show-by-show basis, Discord, messages, whatever it may be. But my idea is, because I've been doing it for so long with a certain point of view, and before that, even Apocalypse, and I had been, filtering this in here and there because this show's been running for a few years now, but never consistently because I put those two shows first, rightfully so. But now, being that it is my only outlet to talk about the things that I watch, the things that I love, to cover news, I would really love to make this a weekly thing. And I know that might be crazy. It might be just too far-fetched, but that would be the goal. And that's going to be the goal for as long as I can make it the goal. I would love for it to become a weekly show where I'm able to sit down and either recap news that's been happening, talk about the latest TV episodes I've been watching. Maybe I saw the biggest movie over the weekend. There you go. There's my review. So I think it's a great opportunity for me to sit down, hang out with you guys, and talk about all of the things that I watch, listen, love, do, just all of it. And if you guys are in for the ride, I would love it. And it'd just be a lot of fun. It would. And so, look, I know that it's a tall task, especially with my family and everything that's been going on here, obviously. But I'm lucky enough to have a very gracious wife. And I think we can make this happen. So that's the goal. That is the goal. And I would love to, have that with you guys. I haven't really locked down. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't locked down a day and a time. Having a 8-month-old in the house, obviously things shift and change constantly. It could be Sundays, could be Tuesdays, could be Thursdays. I don't know. So you could see this whiskey on a Sunday. You could see next one on a Thursday. Could see the one after that on a Tuesday. I'm trying to find the groove when it comes to that, because POV was on Mondays, Apocalypse was on Tuesdays, and so one of those days could work because those don't exist anymore. But a Sunday night could also work. Who knows? I'm gonna lock it down eventually. I have a feeling it'll happen sooner rather than later, because having a schedule early, knowing when it happens, obviously works well with the family. And I will keep you guys all updated. So, but yes, that's what I would love to do. I would love to make it happen. And if there are topics you guys want me to talk about, if there's something you want me to see, I am all ears. Honestly, I am all ears. This all happens because I have an audience, because there's people watching. So I would love to hear from you guys. I think John mentioned Godzilla -1. I have not watched it yet. I think I'm either going to watch it tonight or tomorrow. I have not locked down an exact time. I was hoping last night worked, but we got really tired, went to bed. So maybe tonight. But it is on the docket. It's the #1 movie on my docket right now, 100%. So Godzilla -1, by the time this show comes around next week, which is super cool, I will have watched Godzilla -1. So stay tuned for that. Amaru, thank you, man. I don't know if you're here, but thank you for the comment. I'm lucky, honestly. Gab and Bo, they are healthy, happy, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun growing and experiencing everything with with both. So yeah, I'm sure that'll come up obviously constantly on this show. His new thing since I've been on a show, actually, since I've been on POV, since I've been on a podcast in general, he's in the beginning stages of crawling. So crawling he's on the move. It's that it's that Obi-Wan, that line, right? Always on the move, which I've sent like a million times already. So we are currently in that stage, which has been incredible. So Amaru, dude, Hitman is my number 2 most anticipated. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save that. We're going to talk about the June movies a little bit later on. I forgot that it is now June. But Hitman is on the list. I think I have 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm going to do a TikTok on it. So, and I'll talk about my TikTok in a little bit as well. All right, look, let's get into it. I don't want to waste too much time. And I know that I was setting up the show, which is things I got to do. What's up, Gio? And I'm excited. It's going to be ever evolving. I can promise you that. The look of it'll change and the style of it'll change. Like I said, I have some plans for what I would love for it to kind of look like visually. But it might take me a little bit to get there. It's not always boom, right out the can, right? I'm not Brian Moore. It doesn't happen right away sometimes. So it's going to be fun in the process. I'm excited for the process. So let's do this in order, because it has been so long and I have not done a show since. Actually, I have done a show technically, but I never got a chance to talk about it. I really want to talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I got to talk about this show, or this movie, excuse me. I have TV on my mind right now. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out in early May. I went out and saw it, lucky enough, on opening night. And this is a movie that's been long in the making ever since the Caesar trilogy ended, and takes place hundreds of years after the Caesar events. And we have a giant, massive, brand new story that I am so hyped about. I am so excited for the direction that Westball is taking this story. Oh, yes, John, excuse me. Pause real quick. Something I did not mention about the show. So tonight, I'm actually only drinking Blanton's. I poured myself a Blanton's because I'm celebrating the return of the show. And the plan for whiskey going forward, because I'm going to be doing it weekly, I'm going to be reviewing a whiskey once a month. I'm not going to be doing it weekly. That's just too much. I will have bourbons on every show, or scotches, or whatever it may be. I'll be drinking something every show, but I'm going to do a review every month. It gives me a little bit more leeway, a break. You know, obviously when you buy bottles, you got to have time for them. So each month you'll see a whiskey review, which will happen on this show. And then I also plan on clipping it out for the channel in general. So, but yes, back to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I said this when I reviewed it on Twitter. I said this when I reviewed it on Letterboxd, which my links are in the description. Got to plug myself. I am pretty much obsessed with the direction that they're taking this. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever expect them to go here, to go in this direction. But Westball stuck to his guns, and it is a very, very bold direction for the Apes franchise. Very bold. So spoilers, if you have not seen it, I'm going to be talking about some minor spoilers just in case. And I don't like comparing it to this because it is so far from this, but it's currently happening in Medium. It is basically a Fallout version of Planet of the Apes, but it's not Fallout. It's so different from Fallout. It is so massively different from Fallout. The only thing similar to Fallout is it's just involving shelters with people. And so having that, right? And now knowing that across the planet, or at least let's just, for the sake of the argument, across the United States of America, there could be people living underground still who are immune or distant from the disease, like May, or the people that she met at the end of the film, who speak, who didn't lose their speech pattern. And that is fascinating. That is incredibly fascinating. Like I said earlier, I'm obsessed with it. I really am. I think that it is such a, I mentioned the word earlier, but I'm going to keep using it's such a bold place to take it. First of all, we've never seen it in the Apes franchise in general. And it's weirdly but also beautifully honoring everything that came before it with the story it's taking. And for those who think that at the end of the movie that they were separating Noah and May, you know, on different ends of the story or sides of the conflict, I'll say. They are, but if you believe that they're not going to come back together, you crazy. You crazy. Caesar fought for so long to try to live in peace with the humans, right? We saw him with Jason Clarke's character in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, where he was constantly just fighting he wanted to live equal. You know, we'll stay on our side, you stay on your side, or we'll stay out of your way. Just leave us alone. Same thing happened with the Colonel in War. He tried, but obviously the Colonel wasn't having it. And ultimately, it pushed Caesar and his clan out. And I didn't mention this, but my God, Westball had to throw the tearjerker at the beginning of Kingdom, showing Caesar and Maurice and Rocket and all of them burying Caesar. Are you kidding me? Talk about out of left field, completely unexpected. But it was beautiful. I mean, it was gorgeous. I was completely tearing up, if I'm being honest. I have people to completely back me up on that. So look, Caesar fought for that for so long. And now we're hundreds of years in the future. There's different sections of apes who have branched off. You know, some are abiding by the rule of Caesar, like Rocca, right? Who I love the character. I hope we see him again. I'm with you, Rue. I really hope he's alive. I think he is. I hope he is. And then there's others like Proximus Caesar who are taking what Caesar believed in and had said and twisting it. And then there's everyone in between like Noah, who Noah never heard of Caesar. You know, the elders, or at least maybe the elders of the elders, kept that from them for a certain reason. But I love it because in my eyes, this, let's just call it a trilogy at the moment, which I believe what they're going to go for is they're going to go for the Caesar trilogy, a Noah trilogy, and then a third trilogy, making it 9 total movies of one big story that are all kind of interconnected. In the Noah trilogy, I think what's going to happen is May and Noah are going to be the links to bringing the human race and the ape kind together. Not all of them. Obviously, there's going to be apes who aren't for it. There's going to be humans who aren't for it. But I think that they're the connecting piece. And those 3 movies are going to see that all play out, right? We saw Kingdom. We saw what happened. At the end of the movie, it separated them, right? May was helping her kind for obvious reasons, right? She may not have been making the best decisions, but she was doing it for the humankind. And Noah was doing it for his kind. But these next 2 movies are going to eventually bring them together to bridge the gap. In my mind, I think that's what's going to happen. And I can't wait. I think Westball is a phenomenal filmmaker. I think the Maze Runner movies are so incredibly underrated. I think what he did with Kingdom, in my eyes, after Matt Reeves and Dawn and War, he had a very tall task. He had something huge to live up to. Completely conquered that. I loved it. It was beautiful. It honored everything that Reeves and Serkis did with Caesar in that entire trilogy, and Rise, of course, obviously. But it honored all of that, but also took what was best from it and made a completely brand new, just interesting story that I'm completely sucked into. So I'm all in on the Apes franchise. I was before. I mean, everyone saw me on social media, but I'm all in on the Apes franchise. I really am. I think that it's headed in such a great direction. Uh, it's also a very strong franchise right now. It's making a ton of money at the box office. It's got really great legs. It's been going for a long time. And to make essentially 4 straight, pretty damn good movies, like Rise and Kingdom, if I were to rank the 4, it's Rise, Kingdom, War, Dawn. Those are the 4. But to have those 4 as like 4 great movies back to back to back to back, franchise is a total success. So I can't wait to see where this franchise goes, where this story goes. Now knowing we have 5 more movies, not just 2, we have 5 more movies. I'm super, super excited. I thought Proxima Caesar was a great villain, like a great villain. I loved the character so much. I really enjoyed May. I thought Freya Allen was a great addition to the franchise. And I thought Owen Teague played a really, really, really good ape character in Noah. No, Gio, I was doing it in back order. So Rise was 4, Kingdom was 3, War for 2, Dawn was 1. Dawn is a perfect movie in my eyes. It's arguably on the cusp of my top 10 movies of all time. I love that movie to pieces. So yeah, I'm all in on this franchise. I'm all in on the characters. I'm all in on the story. I'm all in on the director. And this movie also made me extremely excited for the Legend of Zelda movie because Westball is doing that. Obviously, very different in story and just characters and everything. But Westball clearly understands IP properties. He understands how to tell stories. He understands how to create characters and to develop characters. And you got to think of it like, sure, it's kind of an original story with Kingdom, but he's taking bits and pieces from the Matt Reeves movies and making his. Now he has to take bits and pieces from the video games of Zelda and make a movie. I think the Zelda franchise is in pretty good hands with him. So, all right, let's move on from the Planet of the Apes franchise. Let me take a drink of my Blands real quick because it's Blands and I can't just leave it to the side. So let's talk about what was my number 2 most anticipated movie of the year. Furiosa, the 5th rider of the apocalypse. I love that, by the way, when they said that. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, her odyssey, if you will. George Miller back to direct the 5th Mad Max movie in the franchise. Chris Hemsworth stepping in as Dr. Dementis. And, of course, Anya Taylor-Joy taking over the role of young Furiosa from Charlize Theron. And also, just real quick, I got to give massive props and a huge shout out to the actress who played even younger Furiosa, Alila Brown. Alila Brown was incredible. So if you've seen Furiosa, just, this is going to be spoilers, right? If you haven't seen it, this is your warning. I was shell-shocked. Like, I'm telling you, I was, like, shocked at how much time we spent with young Furiosa. And I'm young Furiosa, meaning kid Furiosa in Furiosa. It's a lot of Furiosas. We spent probably the entire first act with her, which was way more than I was expecting. I was expecting maybe like a 15, 20-minute scene, if that. We got 30, 40 minutes of her, and it was great. Like, it was great backstory for this character. We got a big chunk of what this character went through before she essentially became the older Furiosa played by Anya Taylor-Joy and everything that she went through. Because in the story of George Miller and what he created, there was a lot that Furiosa went through before she became part of the Citadel. Like, a lot. She was with Dr. Dementis, and I'm just going to say Dementis, but Dr. Dementis for a large chunk of time. A very large chunk of time. And she didn't speak the entire time, which I thought was a very cool addition. Yeah, I really, I mean, no surprise here. I love this movie so much. I think it's in my eyes, it's a perfect origin movie. It really is. It's a perfect origin movie. Sorry, guys. Baby duty. Had to answer a question. I Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed everything about Furiosa, and I think it was an absolute perfect origin movie. I thought George Miller took his time to tell the story because with origin movies, right, and when you know the ending of a movie, you're always waiting to get there. You're waiting on, okay, so for example, we know that in Mad Max Fury Road, Furiosa has no arm, right? It's mechanical, her left arm. But we know in Furiosa she has her arm. So the entire time we're waiting, okay, when does she lose her arm? How does she lose her arm? How does it happen? But for me, as I'm watching, I wasn't thinking about it until it happened. It never crossed my mind until it actually happened. And to me, that is a sign of a great story because you're so invested in everything that's currently happening. You're not waiting to get through this scene for the next one. And I thought I was just so invested in everything going on. It was such a different style of wasteland from what we saw in Fury Road. It was also vastly different from previous Mad Max movies, but if you know the Mad Max franchise, Furiosa is very similar to both the original and Road Warrior. It's very similar, not the same, but it has a lot of the kind of similarities, like bigger similarities. Than I would compare it a lot more to that than I would Fury Road. So and I like that. I appreciated that because I didn't want Fury Road 2.0. I didn't want a Fury Road, a second part of that. I wanted it to feel different and be different. Hold on, guys. Just answering a text message. All right. Um. Yeah, and I think that Chris Hemsworth as a villain, I need more of it. I need more of him as a bad guy. I need more of him playing a conniving, just not typical villain. He was very different. I love the take that he gave on Dementis as well. The voice, the way he acted, kind of how like sporadic he was. Um, I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved seeing bits and pieces of Maneater, and I loved seeing Bullet Farm and Gastown. Obviously, we have Joe in there as well. I love seeing him. I thought all of the characters that we saw from Fury Road fit very, very well within the story. Like it all made sense. Like, of course, we're going to see them. It like for obvious reasons we're going to see them, but they were only in there for specific scenes, right? They had their moment in Fury Road, and George Miller knew that. He didn't want to recreate that. Now, including them makes sense because of Furiosa and her ending up the Citadel, but they never outshined anything that was happening with Dementis or Furiosa herself. Um, and I thought everyone had the part they were supposed to play, and I was thoroughly impressed with the amount of characters George Miller included that had significant screen time that all fit very well. And one of those was Praetorian Jack. I thought Praetorian Jack was a great addition to get Furiosa to where she needed to be. Um, because we know that when we first meet Anya's version, the older version of this movie, all she wants to do is get out. And rightfully so, right? She wants to get back to her home, the Green Place. But Praetorian Jack is the one to not, well, he's not keeping her, but he's essentially trying to tell her there's nothing else. Like you kind of have it the best you can right now. Right? She's running a war rig. She's making runs. She's considered high up on the totem pole for Joe. It's not like she's a war baby anymore or a wife, which she originally was supposed to be, which I thought was an interesting choice to do. And I know that the reason she stayed was, one, Praetorian Jack was killed by Dementis. But two, she didn't really have another choice. In that scene where Dementis killed Jack, first of all, what an awful way to die. Awful way to die. Being dragged by a motorcycle and then eaten by dogs, which I just hate seeing. You know, I think I've talked about it before, but I really hate when anybody involves anything with dogs. I just think it's unnecessary at times. I'm just glad he didn't show it physically. But yeah, that scene was kind of horrific. And then seeing Furiosa essentially, and we don't know if she cut her arm off, if she ripped her arm off. All we know is it hanging here. But like, what a boss move. What a boss move. That's the Furiosa we know, right? So, yeah, I thought everything regarding her setup for who she became was brilliant. I really did. I love the way it was told in chapters. The movie is told in chapters, which I thought was such a great touch. Being that it is an odyssey as it's being described, it completely fits. And then once we see her become the Furiosa, it fits with everything that connected to Charlize. She became Charlize's character within that moment. She cut her hair. She got the oil on her forehead. She's stealing the car. She's hunting down Dementis. Yeah, I just makes sense. Completely makes sense. I loved it. I loved it so much. I think that Furiosa is a beautiful Mad Max story. And I'm really bummed that people aren't going to see it. I'm really bummed. I think everyone needs to give this movie a chance. I don't know why people aren't going to see it. Maybe because it's a prequel with knowing where she ends up. I really don't know. The movie's rated well. The movie is incredible. It stars Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm not too sure why it's not making money. It really doesn't make sense to me. So, yeah, I think that I hope that, one, it has legs, or two, it catches on once it hits streaming. So we'll see. But it does bum me out because it terrifies me that the response to Furiosa won't allow George Miller to make The Wasteland, the Mad Max Fury Road sequel. So we'll see. We'll see. Gio said Furiosa somehow made Fury Road even better. An even better watch upon repeat viewings. Yeah, it really does. Like, it makes you want to watch Fury Road because that ending is so like here we go right into it, which I thought was a great touch. Seeing her steal the 5 wives, seeing her in her rig, right, her war rig. I loved that. I thought that was a great finishing scene to go right into Fury Road. It really does make Fury Road better. It makes Fury Road better. Booze. It was a dope film. I love the mom at the beginning, and the not Mad Max mentor too. Yeah, Furiosa's mom's a badass. She's an absolute badass. I love that scene as well. I thought that was very necessary. And I love that George Miller took the time to do it. I thought it was necessary. And did I expect to see it? No, but I'm very, very glad I got it. And yeah, Praetorian Jack, I talked about him. Yeah, Praetorian Jack was great. He was a really, really good character. Curtis kind of wanted to adapt the baby war boy. Nux. Yeah, Nux. I love Nux. Oh, I see what you, adopt the baby war boy. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. The war boy who got killed. He was shot in the head, actually. Yeah, I felt bad for that guy. Kind of seemed like he wanted to be there, but also at the same time didn't want to be there. And that was a scene, by the way. The war rig fight that we saw, which was like a 15, 20-minute scene. Praetorian Jack's war rig being attacked before they were headed to Gastown. I loved seeing Gastown and Bullet Farm. I mentioned that earlier, but it was really cool to get more backstory on that after hearing about it in Fury Road. Bullet Farm was really cool. That scene at Bullet Farm was awesome, with Furiosa and the sniper, right? Saving Praetorian Jack. That was a great, great scene. Everything before Dementus finally caught up with them. Gio, I wanted to see more of Scaborus Scrotus. Think that was his live action debut. It was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see that character again. It's hard because there were so many characters in this movie. What a great name, by the way. Total Mad Max vibe. I love it. Gio, I'm playing the Mad Max video game ASAP. Yeah, I would love to. I don't think I'll get the chance to, but I would love to. John, thank you so much for joining as always, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for the support, dude. I appreciate it. So yeah, look, regarding my most anticipated movies of the year, 3 for 3 on my top 3. Dune Part 2, obvi, best sequel of all time. Second best sequel of all time. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes exceeded expectations, right? It lived up to everything that the Caesar trilogy was. And then Furiosa was a perfect prequel / origin story. It's just amazing. I love it so much. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I got a chance to see them in a movie theater. It's very hard these days, obviously, having a baby. I try to be respectful with everything that's going on at the house, but I was lucky enough to be able to go see these in a theater. IMAX, actually, all 3 in IMAX, which made me very excited. So, all right, let's go ahead and shift gears and go to TV, because a massive television show comes out on Tuesday. And being that this show is called The Whiskey Jedi, and that I'm sometimes called The Whiskey Jedi, I don't like to call myself that, but I am The Whiskey Jedi. Star Wars The Acolyte officially comes out. Star Wars The Acolyte officially comes out this Tuesday. Super excited. Anticipating this show like no other. Just look at the visuals in this show. The sabers, the villains, whether it be 2, 1, twins, solo, the aliens, the addition of Ernesto Rowe, which is massive, obviously coming from the High Republic. This show has been obviously wanted for a very long time. It was talked about a number of years ago when Disney first kind of announced everything that was coming to Disney Plus. It's gone through a couple versions of title cards, but Leslie Headland, the creator of the show, the writer of the show, the showrunner, director of a few episodes, I'm sure. She comes from Russian Doll and Netflix. And everyone who mentions her talks about her, whether it be an interview on the red carpet or elsewhere, has nothing but high praises for her. And I think I've mentioned this when we've talked about it briefly on previous shows, but the thing that's most exciting about it is that it's just different. It's different, and it's new, and it's unique to everything we've been getting in Star Wars, not just with the Disney era, but just in general. It's, I obviously don't know. It could be very different, but is darker, right? It's focusing in an era that, for those, that nobody knows about because we're not there in the timeline yet. Everybody in the High Republic books and comics are hundreds of years prior. So this is a fresh start for everyone. Anyone who likes Star Wars, who may not follow books, comics, extra TV shows, Wikipedia, you can watch this and be on the same playing field, which I love. I love that I can watch this and Gabby can watch this and we'd be level. It'd be no problem. We don't have to know anything going in. There's no prerequisite to watch, read, listen, anything. It's all brand new with brand new characters in a brand new era. And I'm super, super excited for that because it's going to bring in a lot of new people to Star Wars. And it has the chance to... We're going to get familiar stories, but this has a chance to kind of kick off a new era for Star Wars, which I'm really looking forward to. Telling different stories with different characters in places we've never seen before. You know, we've talked about it over the years, but let's make the Star Wars galaxy bigger rather than making it smaller. And we've made it smaller for the last 10 years because we're telling stories within the same era that we've been familiar with for so long. And I love a lot of those stories. I do. But let's get something new. Let's have a fun time telling stories within, you know, the High Republic era or the Knights of the Old Republic or 30 years past the Rise of Skywalker or whatever it could be, right? Like just something new. And I think the Acolyte is going to be a lot of that for a lot of people. I mentioned it up top, but I have not watched anything past the first trailer. So I am very shut off from every piece of footage right now. I've seen, you know, a few images here and there. I've seen quotes from, you know, Leslie Headland herself or some of the actors. But I'm like fresh. I've seen very minimal footage, and that leaves me very excited. You know, trying to count theories and talk about things is tough just because it's so new and so different. It's 100 years before the Phantom Menace. That is pretty much an unknown timeline era we know nothing about. There's a few characters we can think of who can be alive because they're aliens, but no human characters that we know in Star Wars canon from the Phantom Menace to the Rise of Skywalker can be alive. Not even Palpatine. At least we think like that would make him superhuman. So, you know, there's no Anakin, there's no Palpatine, there's no Mace Windu. There's Yoda, which we know is in High Republic. There could be characters like Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon. Who knows? Because they're aliens. They're different. We don't know how they age. They could age much differently. I don't expect to see a lot of cameos regarding people we know. I think this is going to be a very singular, individual focused story on what they are telling. And my only reasoning for that is because it's in such a blank space in Star Wars. 100 years before the Phantom Menace, there's nothing going on that we know of. Like I mentioned earlier, the High Republic era, the books and the comics aren't even there yet. Those books are taking place a few hundred years before this. So this is a completely blank canvas. Blank as you can get, which is exciting. I'm excited there's 2 episodes, which I think is great. You know, kind of kick things off strong. I'm excited to see lightsaber fights. I'm excited to see this cast. This cast is great. I'm interested to learn about the villains, not just May. Is it May? Oh, that's funny. There's 2 Mays. It is May. That's why I got confused. May from Kingdom and Planet of the Apes and May from the Acolyte. So not just May, but also the Sith that we see in the trailers. Who is he or she? Where did they come from? What does this have to do with, you know, the rule of 2 or the Sith or whatever? You know, because we know in the prequels, they say the Sith have been extinct for however long. Well, 100 years prior, there seems to be a Sith. So we'll see. Look, it's new Star Wars. I think everyone watching knows that I'm a Star Wars guy. So it's new, fresh, exciting Star Wars, man. I mean, I'm super excited for this idea of creating new stories in a new era that we have no prior experience with. And like I mentioned, I think this is really going to kick off a new era in Star Wars of telling stories and different sides of things. So yeah, I think the Acolyte is going to be an absolute banger, if I'm being honest. Like an absolute banger. Rue said it earlier. He said he thinks I'm really going to like it. I love that. Gets me excited. Gio said, love watching Leslie Headland talk Star Wars. Yeah, man, she is a fan. She is a fan. I did a TikTok on it, but she had mentioned how she got inspiration. She didn't get exact details or anything. There was small inspiration. The Sith character we see in the trailers from a Knights of the Old Republic character called Darth Treya. And Darth Treya has a massive history in the Knights of the Old Republic regarding starting out as a Jedi, falling to the Sith eventually, kind of going back and forth. She has connections to Darth Revan. So it could be interesting if we see inspiration from that in this character. But again, I don't expect to see like carbon copy, but it is cool that she's looking back in all of Star Wars, that she knows her Star Wars, which I think is really cool. Which makes her the perfect person for this, obviously. Booze. I'm so down for the Acolyte. Could do a lot of interesting things. I'm down to see the Jedi through their perspective, through the perspective of cast, if that's a route they go. Agreed. This is going to be a very different type of Jedi. Very different type of Jedi. Way different from what we saw in the prequels. Maybe by the end of it, but I expect to see a second season of this, probably. I would say, and this is like just a theory or a thought, I would say by the end of the Acolyte, we could see breadcrumbs for how the Jedi became who they are in the prequels. The kind of ignorant, blinded Jedi we saw in the prequels, right? Who didn't think the Sith were alive, who, thought that they were okay, good and dandy. And obviously that wasn't the case. So I could see this story setting that up, which I think is a really cool idea. Like a very cool idea. But again, I do expect to see more seasons of this. I don't think this is just an 8-episode run. I think this show is going to be a hit, and I think they're going to do a lot of seasons of this. Well, maybe not a lot, but a few. I'll say a few. 2, 3, 4, maybe somewhere around there. 4, I would say, maybe, as the high number, which could be really cool. So, again, guys, it's more Star Wars. Star Wars is awesome. And the more we get it, the more I love it. So, and the more we're going to talk about it. The more we're going to talk about it here with you guys. Which next week we'll definitely be talking about the Acolyte. And probably some news that's come out, because there's been a lot of news that's come out recently that I'm not getting a chance to talk about tonight. But a lot of news that I love. And this is a great time to plug this, because I do a lot of this on my TikTok. TikTok's not for everybody. I get that. I've been posting it to my Instagram actually as well. So if you're into my Instagram, or if you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is down below in the description. The only problem with Instagram is they allow 90-second videos. And the stories are only a minute. And I'm sorry, but sometimes your boy wants to talk. So there's some TikToks that go over 90 seconds on a few videos on my TikTok that go over 90 seconds. So on the Instagram ones, you'll see them cut off because of the time. So if you're interested, go give me a follow on TikTok. I try to cover most of like movie news, essentially. I love talking it. I love talking about stuff that's coming out. Like what can I pull up? Let's see. Actually, speaking of the Acolyte, I did a video basically saying everything you need to know before watching the Acolyte, which I think is really cool. I just did a video on Bill Skarsgård returning as Pennywise for the Welcome to Derry series, the Knives Out cast and title, Chris Hemsworth starring in the Transformers G.I. Joe movie, the Lantern series. So I do a lot of movie news stuff. I talk about it. So I cover the news, but then it's a lot of opinion based things that I think may happen or if I think it's a good idea, etc. And I really enjoy doing it. I do. And I've gotten a pretty decent response on a lot of good videos, which has been a lot of fun for me. A lot of people commenting and responding, and it's been fun to see. So if you guys are on TikTok, if you're interested, my link is down below. It's easy, though. It's at Qui-Gon Jake. This everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, X/Twitter, all of it. It's the same handle. And so I try to cover all of that on a pretty daily basis, actually. The videos are very easy for me to shoot, which has been a lot of fun for me because there's a lot of stuff I've never really gotten to talk about on podcasts because obviously there's a limited amount of time. This gives me an opportunity to do so. And so there will definitely be things on there because of the frequency of things. There will be things on there that I'm not able to talk about on this show just because of there may be too much. Like, I don't know if I would have talked about the 300 prequel series with Zack Snyder because I don't want to talk about Zack Snyder. Sorry, Gio. I don't know if I would have done it. I mean, never say never, but I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, follow me over there. Follow me on X. Follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to keep up on all of it. A lot more than I have in the past just because there's a lot of individual stuff now. So, yeah, check that out. A little plug for myself. Thank you, guys. All right. So, 2 things before we kind of wrap things up. I want to talk about something that I have been watching. Well, there are actually 2 things I've been watching. But one of them is more of a recommendation, which I think I'm going to do every show. I think, Selvin, you're correct. 2 N's because someone else took before I did. Thank you. What's up, buddy? Hope you're doing well. I got to remember to say that. I know that it was kind of a POV thing, but I got to remember to say that. I think I'm going to, at the end of each show, recommend like either a movie or a TV series. Something that maybe I've been watching or something that's currently on streaming available. So first, I've been praising this and talking about this for the last few weeks on my social medias. I did a TikTok on it, and the TikTok is currently blowing up. Like, blowing up. Black Sails. I have an image for it, actually. I forgot to bring it up. Black Sails. If Andy is still here, he'll be jumping up and down. If you have not seen this, I cannot recommend it enough. It was originally a Starz series. Back in 2014 is when it aired. It was on Starz. So it didn't get seen by a lot of people because some people didn't have Starz. It was minor, you know. But Black Sails is arguably, after doing my rewatch, which I just finished my rewatch a few weeks ago, is arguably one of my favorite television shows ever made. And I don't know why I'm saying that now and not before, but I really don't remember my reaction to the show 10 years ago. I remember liking it, but my reaction this time around, I loved it. Like, loved it. I think it is so well done. And look, for those who may be watching or listening, I haven't read Treasure Island. I don't know the mythology. Everyone argues about the ending. That's fine. Regarding Black Sails from season 1 to season 4, I loved it. I love the characters. I love the style of the show. I think it's great. There's 2 ways of describing this show for me. One, it's Pirates of the Caribbean meets Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones can sometimes be a little bit too vast because there's so many different stories and characters, right? So this show is not as watched as Game of Thrones, but it's a much better comparison. It's Pirates of the Caribbean meets Vikings. That's what it feels like to me. Vikings is a very big show, but it has much less characters compared to Game of Thrones. And I love it. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised, right? I'm obsessed with kind of Viking stuff and everything. But, I mean, how can you not love a pirate television show of pirates in Nassau battling it out with one another while also trying to find Spanish gold. Hello. And for those who maybe have read Treasure Island who are watching, the treasure they're trying to find is the treasure. Flint's treasure, as it's called, right? Andy, that's a great comparison. Pirate Shogun. It is. It's very Pirate Shogun. Shogun's a little bit more like denser and deeper, but yes, I'm with you. I see the comparison for sure. I like that. Inspired by a book, but mixes real history. I do. I love that. I love that a lot. You're right. I like that. Good call. Yeah, Captain Flint is a brilliant character. John Silver is awesome. And all the other characters are cool. We see Blackbeard in there. Charles Vane is awesome. And I did a lot of kind of digging after I finished the show itself. But all of these characters they're in the history books, but it's just whether or not you believe they exist. Jack Rackham, Annie, they all exist, but it's whether or not you believe they exist. So, yeah, if you're interested, all 4 seasons are on Netflix. They are available right now. And I'm telling you, if you give the show a chance, you will become hooked. The first season is 8 episodes, but then the following 3 are 10. It was given a bump for the following 3. And just my 2 cents, I have a 2-episode rule with TV. You guys can take it or leave it. But I usually will give TV shows 2 episodes, and that's either when I'm in or out. So if you're not into the first episode, check out the second and see what you think. Because I bet you by the second, you'd be in. Flint is awesome. Awesome. There's a lot of good characters. A lot of good characters outside of him. Billy Bones, great character, great name. So yeah, check out Black Sails. It's a really, really good show. Well done. And not seen as much because it was a Starz show, right? This show today probably would have made on like Prime Video or Max. It's great. It's great. I can't recommend it enough. Andy says Black Sails is a show that every episode gets better. I agree with him. You're so invested in what's going on with these characters that it's very true. Yeah, I love the dynamic. I think the ship scenes are great. I think the fight scenes are great. I think the characters are really, really well written. It's great. I just check it out. Check it out. See what you think. And finally, to kind of close the show out, I wanted something I watched because it's now available on streaming, but also a recommendation. One of my recommendations I kind of want to start this new phase off with. In 2018, a little movie called Upgrade was released. I don't know why there's a white corner there. It kind of bothers me. But Upgrade is a 2018 movie directed by Lee Whannell, starring Logan Marshall Green, and among many others. Logan Marshall Green, you'll see him. He plays the first Shocker in Spider-Man Homecoming, but he's also in Prometheus. He has a big role in Prometheus as well. But Lee Whannell, the director, also directed The Invisible Man. So if you like The Invisible Man, check this out. It's on Netflix. It just got put on Netflix. And a very different type of movie from The Invisible Man, but also still terrifying. It deals with AI. And Logan Marshall Green plays a character who is essentially paralyzed from a car accident and a mugging. And a billionaire comes to him with an AI that can help him walk again. But that AI becomes sentient, and their battle goes from there. It's an aggressively brutal movie. Does not pull punches. And tons of action, great story. It's a very small budget movie. It was not in a lot of theaters, but Sacramento was given access to it when it came out in 2018. And I jumped at the chance of watching it. And I just rewatched it this past week. And so I wanted to recommend it to everybody. It's a great movie if you have not seen it. I would definitely check it out. Really, really well done for a smaller movie about AI. It feels very realistic is what I take from it, which makes it scary. makes it very scary. And Logan Marshall Green is really, really good in the role too. So yeah, Upgrade. 2018 is available on Netflix. At least I hope it still is. I know they change things every month, right? Sometimes, especially someone like Max. But it got put on there last month, so I have a feeling it's still on there. If it's not, let me know. But I watched it this week, which was in May, so that's why I'm currently recommending it to you. And I probably should have checked on that before I started, but that's okay. You guys can let me know. But yeah, guys, that's kind of gonna wrap up today. A nice little reintroductory back into the swing of things. I haven't been on a mic in a while, so I kind of want to get my feet wet, talk about some things I love, talk about some things that are upcoming, things that I have planned for the show. Obviously, I would love for it to become a full-blown channel regarding like reviews and stuff, but I just don't know if I have the time for that. I will say, and I know it's not fair to those people who don't have it or use it, but that's really where a place like TikTok and Instagram help me, because it's short, right? It's short attention span videos. I'm able to shoot them very quickly and post them very quickly. And I plan on doing episode reviews for the Acolyte on that. I plan on doing episode reviews for things like the House of the Dragon Season 2, The Boys Season 4, The Bear Season 3, which all come out in June. All of them come out in June. We're so lucky. Best month of TV ever? Quite possibly. And what's great about it is that if The Boys sticks with previous seasons, all of them but The Bear will be by the week, which I love. We'll be consuming them over weeks, which I just enjoy so much more than binging. I love having the ability to binge. It's great when you're catching up on something like rewatching Black Sails, right? But I just love the week-to-week conversation, especially for something like this. So I'll be covering all 4 of those for sure. There are movies coming out that I'm really looking forward to. And I know I mentioned June movies a little bit earlier in the show. I'm going to try to do reviews, but I don't get out to the theater as much as I have in the past, so it's difficult. I see a lot of them later on. Like I just watched The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare recently. Guy Ritchie, because it was put on streaming. I rented it. Fall Guy is available, which unfortunately I'm going to have to watch on streaming just because getting in the theater is tough these days. It really is. But I'll talk about them when I watch them. I will. But there will be stuff I get out to go see. So for June, the movies that I'm really looking forward to, Rue mentioned one earlier, Hitman with Glenn Powell. I'm super, super excited for it. I've been excited for it ever since I heard about it. I'm a Glenn Powell fan. I really like him. I also really, really love Adria Arjona. I think she is great. Like, great. She plays Bix in Andor, if you don't know the face. She's been in a couple other roles as well, but I just think she is so good and just a great addition to play alongside Glenn Powell. Super excited to see them team up for this. But outside of Hitman, I'm really looking forward to The Bike Riders with Austin Butler, Tom Hardy. I'm super excited for that one. I mentioned Hitman. A Quiet Place Day 1 comes out in June as well. I don't think I'll get out to the theater unless Gabby wants to go see that. But that's Lupita Nyong'o and the gentleman who's playing Human Torch, for Fantastic Four, Joseph Quinn. And then also Horizon American Saga, which is the new Kevin Costner Western series. He said there's 2 chapters on the way, but also three more movies in the work. So it could be a 5-part series. But yeah, Kevin Costner plus a Western. Too many success stories in the past. I'm all for it. I don't know if I'll get out to theater again, but I'm looking forward to seeing that one a lot. That one's called Horizon, an American Saga. The cast looks great for that as well. And I think Western's a very underrated, unused genre at this point in time. So I would love to see more of them. So yeah, Hitman, The Bike Riders, Quiet Place Day 1. Oh my God. I forgot my Mac does that. I did it do that on the peace sign? I did it on the peace sign, huh? I got to start doing this for my peace sign because I don't want balloons coming up every time I throw up a 2. So, again, Hitman, Bike Riders, A Quiet Place Day 1, and Horizon, An American Saga. Those are the 4 June movies I'm looking forward to the most. Kind of the only ones that are coming out, but the ones I'm really, really excited for. And if I had to put them in order, I would say Bike Riders 1, Hitman 2, Horizon 3, and A Quiet Place would be number 4. So, but again, I'm excited for all 4 of them. Doesn't mean, whether I ranked them or not, I'm excited for all 4 of them. So, Selvin, glad to hear you loved Fall Guy. That's awesome. I'm really excited for it. I really am. I hope I get a chance to watch it this week. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the show tonight. Look, I appreciate everyone who's been staying, hanging out, watching. I really appreciate it. I would love to build an audience with this show and to have conversations with you guys about things that are happening, things that are coming out, previous stuff. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but if there are things you guys want me to watch, maybe a news piece, let me know. You guys can send me a message on social media. For those who don't have it right now, POV, A Certain Point of View, my previous podcast, we still have our Discord open. That Discord is full of an incredible amount of people. And you can join for free and have all kinds of conversations. And you can also message me there. Curtis, Bad Boys, that's right. I'm looking forward to it. I'd probably put that at 5. I'm looking for 4 maybe. I've heard it's really good, but we'll see. Crossing fingers. I loved the last one. So we'll see. I do love some Mike Lowry and Marcus. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, check out my socials. If you have them, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, not TikTok, all at Qui-Gon Jake right there. For those who are listening, Qui-Gon Jake is Quigonn, 2 N's, because someone else took it before I did. Jake, all over socials. You guys can follow me on Letterboxd and Serialized. Follow my movie and TV watching journey. I track everything. I used to track every episode I watch, but now I track by the show. So you'll see me post after the seasons for certain shows that are coming out, like The Acolyte, for example. But it will show you that I've watched the episodes. This doesn't show you that I reviewed it. So check those out as well. I believe it's at Qui-Gon Jake for those as well. I'm pretty sure I nabbed all those everywhere. And Threads. If Threads ever becomes a thing, Threads is at Qui-Gon Jake because my Instagram's at Qui-Gon Jake. So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me, hanging out. I appreciate everyone who's been chatting along. If you watched and didn't, thank you guys for being here. Much, much appreciated. I'm going to be back next week. I'll keep you guys updated on a day. Super excited for this weekly journey of the Whiskey Jedi and having all kinds of cool conversations. Hope you guys stay safe out there. Have a great work week. Have a great week, whether you're working, how on vacation, whatever you may be doing. Stay safe. Enjoy your time. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.